This is going to be another firmware update proposal for this LG C1, now with motion interpolation. So when we have 60 FPS, we have the TV at 60 Hz, and we use de-blur 10, the TV is creating another 60 interpolated frames. So as a result, we have 120. And the only options that work are OLED Motion Pro Medium or Auto. So we are basically combining motion interpolation with black frame insertion. So we go from 60 to 120 by using de-blur 10, and then again we double the motion clarity to 240 by using OLED Motion Pro Medium. So, and it works because OLED Motion Pro Medium at 60 Hz is doing 240 PWM. So if you didn't watch the previous video, I'm going to explain you quickly, and then I'm going to propose the solution. And the solution basically is that all the options should work and they don't. The solution is that high should be working and it doesn't. And I'm going to explain you why. The only option that works is medium or auto. So here's the problem. The problem is that we have 60 Hz selected on the TV. Okay, we have 60 FPS on the game. So at 60 Hz, this is what happens. So we have picture, and it drops, okay? So at 60 Hz, we have 16.6 milliseconds. And OLED Motion Pro Medium should work this way. It should drop. It should give you picture. So this is like an oscilloscope graph. So it should give you picture and then drop down to black. And this would be picture 50% of the time. And the rest would be black. So that the other 50% would be black. So that would double the motion clarity because the pixel visibility time would be 8.3 milliseconds. So motion clarity is equal to the pixel visibility time based on the Blur Buster's law. So what is happening actually is not this. What is happening is that the TV is showing you the picture for 4 milliseconds, it's dropping down to black, and then it's showing you the picture again 4 milliseconds, and it's dropping down to black. So when we have 60 Hz and 60 FPS, the TV is basically showing you the same picture 2 times. So this is the same picture and the same picture here when we have 60 FPS. But when we use OLED Motion Pro Medium and de-blur, we now have 120 FPS. So now this works because we have a different frame here. So this is the real frame and this is the interpolated frame. That's why it works, okay? But what is happening now is that what I want is that all the options work because they should. And high doesn't work because high is doing what it's supposed to do at 60 Hz. So high is doing this. It's doing 38% of the time it shows you the picture and the rest is black. So this is OLED Motion Pro High at 60 Hz, okay? But when we are using motion interpolation, we need this instead. So what we need is 38% of the picture here, black, and then 38% of the picture one more time, and then black. So we need these 2 smaller flashes here for this to work, for high to work with motion interpolation, because we have here the real frame and we have here the interpolated frame. And that's not the way it's working. So basically with a firmware update, they need to detect, okay, if the TV is using motion interpolation, so if de-blur is active, then all these options should be 240 PWM, okay? And if this is not active, all these options should be 120 PWM. So basically, without motion interpolation, this is the behavior that we want. We want medium to be 50%, we want high to be this 38%, and we want low to be this 75% that it is. That's without motion interpolation. Now with motion interpolation, we actually want to change this 120 PWM, we want to change it to this 240 PWM. Why? Because now we don't have 60 FPS, we have 120. And if they do that, all these options are going to work. And so that's how it should be. That's how it should be. So what it seems to me, let me explain you. And I'm gonna show you all the settings I'm using here, by the way. This is Uncharted 4, and it looks, this game looks blurry, but the graphics are very, very nice. And with the settings I am using here, it looks very, very nice. I'm gonna show you the TV settings, the Windows settings, and everything. So, yeah, let me do that right now. So basically what I'm doing is the SDR trick, SDR HDR trick. And what I do is basically max out the SDR HDR slider on Windows. And then I use a screen brightness 41, tone mapping off. And then I come here to this secret menu, 1113111, and change the mastering peak and the max CLL to 540, because this SDR HDR slider does 540. So basically when we use this slider, this is for SDR content, this is pushing max CLL 498. So that 540 is basically going to give us the maximum peak brightness of the TV. And that is bright enough to use OLED Motion Pro at the same time. It works very, very nice. And I'm gonna show you actually, when I go outside, it is very, very bright. Let me go to the outside here. It looks fantastic. So what we want is, the way this should work is that all the options work. But what it seems to me, what happens is that, you know how releases are and how sometimes they have to rush a product, and yeah, they don't have time to make things work. So the way this is not working, it seems to me like they say, okay, we don't have time to figure it out and make the TV detect, you know, when it is using motion interpolation, let's change that PWM, and when it is not, let's just keep it as it is. So because they didn't have time to figure that out, then we just got this mess, that it is not working the way it should be. And maybe it is not possible to be fixed with a simple firmware update, because maybe there is something that I am not aware of that is a challenge, it's challenging, or it is a limitation. But I think it should be. It should be. I don't see why not, because yeah, it should be. They should be able to fix that with a firmware update, and that's the way the TV should work. So basically, at 60 Hz, 60 FPS, no motion interpolation, all the Motion Pro options should be working at 120 Hz PWM. So you actually get the improvement. You should not get this double frames. You should not get repeated frames when you have 60. And then when you have motion interpolation, you want this. So that's how it should work. And I hope they can make this work with a firmware update. But we also have to consider that they keep doing firmware updates for these TVs. I think the CX maybe received the final firmware update, so we might still have 1 year more of firmware updates for the C1. But really, this takes work, and work is money, and I don't think they have a reason to fix this at the end of the life of the C1 for the firmware updates, because that's not gonna benefit them in terms of, you know, more money. They already almost sold out all the C1s. But it would definitely change the customer, you know, experience and the customer opinion about the company. I mean, if LG listened to me and they do this update, and these options now work, that would be fantastic. And I would think very highly of LG if they do that. If they listen to a customer support and this actually makes sense and I am actually correct, and I think I am based on what I see, this would be fantastic. I would truly think very highly of LG, because I know I have a company that would listen, and it would, it would improve the device that you bought, that you purchased, and it is not because you're paying them more money. It's like, okay, yeah, we can do it, we will do it, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to pay us again. It would be fantastic. It would be fantastic. And all the opposite, we see some companies that they do a firmware update and they damage picture quality and they mess things up, and it's just terrible. So that that also happens. So yeah, settings I'm using here for this game, because this is a very blurry game, Uncharted 4. I am using NVIDIA Deep Learning Super Resolution, so DLDSR. MSI has an issue with this game. I have to close MSI. I wanted to show you that the game is running at 60 FPS, but MSI has a big issue with this game. Let me close it, because the game stutters if I use Afterburner. So what I'm using basically on this game is NVIDIA Deep Learning Super Resolution. So it is sharp, so I can get sharpness on the picture the best way. And I'm using 15% sharpness on this resolution, 5120 by 2880. And then I'm using DLSS on performance, so this is basically 1440p. And I lower that DLSS sharpness to 25. And this is the cleanest picture I can get. And yeah, it is tough to get a clean picture, because this is a very, very blurry game. It's a horrendous TAA implementation on this Uncharted. Such a shame, because this game is amazing looking and it's just a blurry mess. But with these settings, it actually looks very, very good, I have to say. But all I can get is 60 FPS. So yeah, I have to use motion interpolation. So this is 60 FPS and it looks like 240. And to get the brightness, I use those settings that I share with you. So let me know if you have any questions or any recommendations, or if you know anything about how to reach out to LG for these updates. I think that they are not gonna listen to me, because this is not a 1 million subscribers channel. But I don't know. If you know how to reach out to them, maybe reach out to Digital Foundry. I know they have Alex, and he has a C1 and one of them has a CX. So they do have more influence. So maybe if they listen to this video, they watch this video, maybe they realize, okay, yeah, that makes sense, let's reach out to LG. Maybe they have a contact there. I don't know. So let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.